Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back in with another sequence video. This was in first Esdras 6:12-33. And so, I'll start with verse 12. In order that we might inform you in writing who the leaders are, we question them and ask them for a list of the names of those who are at their head. And so this is coded reference for the elect, the leaders in the kingdom, and then at their head ultimately is Christ. Verse 13, they answered us, we are the servants of the Lord who created the heaven and the earth. And so we are the servants of the Lord. This is reference to God's elect. The house was built many years ago by a king of Israel who was great and strong, and it was finished. That's in verse 14. Okay, so 12, 13, and 14, we have, I would say, not even really encoded references to God's elect and then salvation. Now, we're going to have a time of America being burned, okay, by the modern day Medes, which is Iran. Verse 15, this is at the end of the Great Tribulation. Verse 15, but when our ancestors sinned against the Lord of Israel who is in heaven, and provoked him, he gave them over into the hands of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, in modern day that's America, king of the Chaldeans. Listen to this in verse 16, and they pulled down the house and burned it and carried the people away captive to Babylon. So in verse 16, it has a reference to a house being burned, and then in verse 15, it has a reference to Babylon, which is America in modern day. And so that's going to happen at the end of the Great Tribulation period. And so by this country, at least one of them, that's referenced here in verse 23. Then Darius commanded that search be made in the royal archives that were deposited in Babylon and in Batana, the fortress that is in the country of Media. Okay, and modern day Medes is Iran. A scroll was found in which this was recorded. Verse 24, in the first year of the reign of King Cyrus, he ordered the building of the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, where they sacrificed with perpetual fire. Okay, and so now we have a reference to perpetual fire and then the country of Media, modern day Medes, Iran. Verse 25, its height to be 60 cubits and its width 6 cubits. So now we have a reference to 60 and 6, 66. So that's America being destroyed at the end of the Great Tribulation. Now we're going to have a reference to the elect and then Christ returning with his elect to destroy. Verse 27, Zerubbabel, the servant of the Lord and the governor of Judea and the elders of the Jews to build this house of the Lord on its site. And so this house of the Lord is reflective of God's elect, the temple. Verse 28, help those who have returned from the exile of Judea until the house of the Lord is finished. Return from the exile. Okay. A great company shall return thither. In Jeremiah 31:8, we know what that means now. And so Christ is going to be returning with all of his saints, what the Bible says. Everywhere, really. And verse 31, Most High God for the king and his children. Okay. And so this is all, I would say, direct reference of Christ returning with his elect. Verse 33, and so I want people to understand 33 represents rulership on this earth. Could be righteous, could be not righteous. Right now, it's not. Job 9:24, if you add that together, is 33. That's not a coincidence. And so here again in verse 33, it says, therefore may the Lord, whose name is there called upon, destroy, listen to this, every king and nation that shall stretch out their hands to hinder or damage. Okay, and so this is God destroying those who destroy the earth. And then in the tail end of this verse, it says that the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. Okay, that house of the Lord in Jerusalem. So that's a reference to God's, to the kingdom of heaven, and it'll be headquartered in Jerusalem. So, and it'll actually be a holy city at that point. So, first Esdras 6:12-33 has a sequence of the end times. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.